We are live on Facebook.
Yes, we are live on Facebook. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Warriors of Life show. Let me confirm if we're indeed live. Yes. Okay, we are live on Facebook. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Warriors of Light show. We are here today. I think we're on episode 11 of our masterclass series. This is a masterclass series that we are doing with Africa's leading spiritual, indigenous, and wellness experts. And we are doing this every Tuesdays and every Fridays at 5 p.m. Central African time. So we're here today and we are continuing with the stream of deepening our journeys and deepening our healing and deepening our understanding of our experiences. And today we're talking an amazing conversation on creating a meaningful and purposeful life with Timothy. Hello, Tim. Thank you for joining me
Hello.
today.
Hello, Joy. It's
Hello.
actually, I should thank you for inviting me today.
Uh, Thank you for saying yes so promptly to this invitation. I'm really excited to explore this conversation of meaning and purpose. We spoke about how important this conversation is, and we're just going to jump into that today. Uh, And we're doing the usual for those who are joining us. We are going to be in conversation for 40 to 45 minutes. Oh, it might be 50 minutes because we've got some exciting activity we're going to do. And then we'll go into questions and answers. And if you are here on Zoom, we have the Q&A in one of the tabs here. So you can use that Q&A to ask questions, and you can use the chat to comment if you are resonating with something. That really always helps us to know that we're together. Hello, Coco. Hello, Pinky. Thank you for joining us. And if you're joining on Facebook, you can also use the comment section to comment as well as ask questions when it's time for questions, because we are here in service of facilitating a process of all of us as African people creating meaningful and purposeful life. And if we know how complex this is, if you are here in our continent, if you are a Black human in our planet. So come and jam with us, journey with us. Let's have a collective conversation, even though we are going to be guided by Tim today. Yes, right. Tim, do you want to say something? I'm going to briefly share now on Facebook as you say something, just a hello before we begin.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, and I'm excited to get into this conversation and uh, share knowledge. Not really knowledge that I possess, but just be able to uh, maybe whatever it is that I'm going to share is going to spark some knowledge in someone or some underlying information, because I believe that people know things inherently, and it is just packed within them. Because if you speak with people, it is the knowledge that is within them that come to the surface, and they work on it. So yeah, we just want to be able to spark this information in people if it is possible.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. It's just all about illumination and just igniting what
Yeah.
is already within. Yes, amazing. So we usually begin by setting sacred space so that this conversation comes from the heart. So let's begin with that so we can then jump into this conversation wherever we are, closing our eyes and taking a deep breath in from your heart, breathing in and out. And releasing all the energies that you've been holding of the day, the long day that we've had today. And begin to return to your heart, to your essence, which is found through your heart, the heart which is the doorway. And allow yourself to just drop in, let go of the worries of the day, the worries of life, and just be in the heart. And here in the higher heart center, begin to become aware of a diamond seed, which is, you may imagine it as a diamond that's holding your essence as a spirit being having this human experience. And begin to see and feel that permanent diamond atom just recalibrating and beginning to pour into your heart, your essence, your soul, your higher self. And allow that energy to move from the heart down through your solar plexus, your womb sacral center, then your root at the base of your spine, and just allow the energy to continue to stream down into the earth like a cord, a grounding cord. And this grounding cord continues into the earth through the soil like a root of a tree. And it goes down to the heart of our planet, our Earth Mother, Mom Wendy, Gaia, Sophia. And within the heart, there is a galactic core, which is similar to a big diamond, but a diamond as big as your city. And allow yourself to connect with this diamond core of Gaia and release even more the things of your worries and allow them to be transmitted by the heart of the earth with unconditional love. And open yourself up to receive healing diamond light from the earth that is going to come back up through the grounding cord, through the earth, back into your feet. You may see that diamond light. It may be like a blue light, aquamarine water color, just moving into your feet now, through your legs, your thighs, your womb area, your stomach, your heart, your throat, your forehead, the third eye, and the top of your head. And that energy continues to go up through your head to your soul star, which is a star that is a couple of centimeters from your head that connects you to your soul essence, which we welcome here even more, your higher self, your soul self. We open, continue to connect with the great central sun, the heavens, and we connect with our prime creator. We connect and invite for everyone who's here the council of our higher selves, our luminous ancestral helping spirit, our spirit guides that work with every one of us. And we invite also the Holy Light, Holy Spirit to be here and to open us, to guide us in this conversation. and we bless this space with that original grace. And we take one last deep breath as we come to the body now. And we open our eyes. Yes. Ooh.
That was
I
relaxing.
feel much better. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now we can begin on this conversation team of meaning and purpose. And we can begin with what this actually means when we say creating a meaningful and purposeful life. Like, according to you, from your perspective, what does that look like? You know, and maybe how has that been like for you to create a meaningful and purposeful life?
It's interesting the way you ask it. What does that look like? Uh, I'll just answer that the way you asked it. How does it look like? It looks like when you're walking on the street and you see somebody is in need and you have the urgency to address their need, and then you just don't have compassion for them, but you do something about it, and then you go home and you reflect about what you did, and you feel deep within you that you're satisfied and you appreciate yourself for what you did, then you did something meaningful to you. That is how it feels like to me. And the same reflects to us as people. At every particular time you do something for yourself, or you you say you speak with people, or you act in a certain way over a period of time, and then you sit back and reflect about your actions, and you can check out that I'm proud of myself. I did something that uh, was beneficial to me and beneficial to others. And so that is how I define meaning. But if you, at the end of your speech and actions, you recollect and you feel as if there's something that went wrong, or you acted in a way that was not fulfilling to you, then you can work on improving this by maybe adding some skills to you, to yourself, to your group of skills. And how has that worked for me? I think it requires a lot of courage. I've quit jobs, right? Because I sat down and reflected, and I felt that no, I am suffering. It's kind of like a balance, right? If you feel as if you're not living more than you're working, then you have to address this. So for me, it has been a journey of reflection, and really wanting to know how I feel deep inside of me about the spaces that I am in and what it is that I'm doing. And if I feel as if I'm not fulfilled, or I feel as if I'm torturing myself by so doing what I'm doing, then there can be two sides of the coin. Either there's something wrong with me, I need to add some skills to improve myself, or this is not a space that I belong in, right? And it takes time to evaluate this. And for me, I think I've gotten to a point where after that period of time of reflection and looking into what it is that I want to do, or the space that I'm in, if I realize that it is not right for me, then I will step out. And it's interesting. It's interesting that we are presented, as we grow or as we develop in life, we are presented with so many options of things that we are interested to pursue, right? And then it happens that while we're pursuing things, you are attracted to one thing and then you pursue it, you realize, no, this is not what I want to do, right? You stop it. Then you're attracted. It's like something also glitters somewhere else, and then you're attracted towards it. And then when you realize it's not what I want, you drop it. And when you're doing this, you're kind of eliminating things that don't work, and you're narrowing down to things that don't work. And then eventually you have a few options to pick on. And that's what you call, like, a lot of people say maturity, and some people say you're becoming more professional. And in real life, someone say you're growing up, because you're narrowing down. It's kind of like you're discovering yourself and what it is that you need to achieve.
Mm, yeah, I like that. The the first one that I resonate with is what you were sharing in the beginning of basically service to others, and giving to others, being service to those who need a particular thing that you are able to provide, that you're able to give. It's one of the things that we're not really taught, and it's not highlighted as much, this service to others. And when I look at the world, I feel like this is what is uh, an issue with a lot of the things. We're not in service of others. We're only in service to what we were told to just, do this and get your money, get your house, and then live the rest of your life. But the truth is, especially in our continent, Africa, there is so many. We are a continent that does not have enough resources, and a lot of our people are struggling. Um, and there is a lot of us having, as people who went to school, people who have particular skill sets, we have to do something about that, right? But for so
Mhm.
many of us, we don't feel like we can do something about that. And that's probably also because we are ourselves still figuring out how to, just provide for our own basic needs, you know like every time I speak to people about like what their desires are, like what do you really really want to do, how do you really want to be in service to others, and people can actually share what they really want to do, but it often feels like that's not enough, and that's also not possible, because beginning that will require a lot of resources that most of us feel like we don't have. And um, these resources also including skills. I actually don't have the skills because I did not learn this in school. No one showed me how to do this, but like my heart wants to do it though, right? So how do we navigate? How do we navigate this understanding that I know what it is that I actually want to do, how I want to be of service to the world, to others, to my community as an African, but I don't have resources. I don't know where to begin. I do not have the funding to do this, And I know you've had experiences with like you shared with me one of your desires and moving through that where you know what you desire to do, but no resources. How are you navigating that? How do we navigate that?
Wow, that's very interesting. You know what happens is, what we've learned and what a lot of times we tell people to do is be a good person, right? We tell people to do things when we don't know that they don't know how to do it, right? So from the onset, there's a lot of when we are kind of like a result of our environment. Okay, so a lot of times when I do something and I judge myself that I could have done it differently, right? And the question is, did I have the resources to do it this differently, right? Highly likely not, because if my character, my habits, and my knowledge, the knowledge that I possess, made me act in a certain way, right? it means that I could not have acted any different, and not unless I changed the intrinsic values that I have within me, right? That's why if there's somebody, say for example, if there's a drug addict, okay, someone who is drinking so much, then you tell them to quit, right? It's not easy to quit drinking because they don't have the skill set that is intrinsic that will make them quit, right? But if you tell them to learn something equivalent to sending them to rehabilitation, where they learn skills to kind of like resist the desires, now skills is brought to place. So there's desire to do something, and then there's the urgency that a lot of times we don't have, in the sense that I want to move from one job space to another, right? That doesn't require just moving. You just don't wake up in the morning and say, like, I'm out, right? You have to plan. You have to think that, hey, I've been in this space and I'm dying. It's killing me. What do I want to do to move? One, you might need to add some skills to your skill set, right? If figure out where you want to go to, why are you dying there, and see, I want to move to this space. I need to improve my resume. I need to add some skills so that I'm appealing, or I can get into the other space, because it is not easy, right? So what I would tell people, and what happens to me personally, I've been in jobs, like for example, my first occupation in Kenya was working at the airport, one of the airports in Kenya, Wilson Airport. So in this space, I used to be at the office at 6 a.m. and I was dying, right? I was not having proper sleep, 6 a.m., and I would work until very late in the day, sometimes at 8 p.m. or all this. And I wanted this to develop skills, but the kind of work that I was doing could not even allow me space for myself. So I decided that I'm going to leave, right? And people act differently. Sometimes you might leave without knowing where you're going to, right? Knowing well that you are not going to die, right? If you have the courage to say that this is just an option that was there in my life, right? It can end anywhere. I've been with friends who complain about their jobs. I don't like this job. It is not meaningful to me, but I have to do it anyway because I have to foot the bills, right? You tell them, work on an exit strategy if you're not being fulfilled with your jobs. And then they don't do that. And then they're fired. Why this happens is when you're doing something that you don't like, you suck at it. You start failing terribly because it's not coming from your heart, right? And that failure is seen by people around you. And eventually they'll ask you, hey, you're failing in this. Can you let someone else who is going to perform, who this resonates with, to take it? So the reason why you might fail on that can be yourself, or maybe that is something that does not add value or meaning to you, if I make sense.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I'm always thinking about, like what you were just sharing, I'm always thinking about why is it that people who have the desire to change, the desire to have a different life, like for the example that you shared of someone who is a drug addict and they want to get clean, you know, I think that we often look at people who are in specific situations, who are in these jobs, and we think that they don't want to, but they really do. But there seems to be, like, and I want you to think about it, there seems to be a deeper reason why we don't leap into what we really want, right? And this is, yes, we can create exit strategies, especially in terms of funding, creating funds for yourself. But I find that actually the deeper issues are not necessarily related to the resources, but more of the internal intrinsic self that you were just talking about, right? And I know you do the work of Mindfulness Africa Initiative, which is now bringing the person back to the self to look at what are the things that are actually stopping you from leaping. You know, like there are many people who actually have money who could just leave the miserable spaces that they're in, but they're not doing it. Why is that the case? Why are we not at a deeper internal level leaping? Why are we lacking that agency? What are your thoughts on that?
Ah, uh, I think I'll reflect on that. There possibly I could reach out to three reasons why this is so. One, it is scary. It is scary.
Yeah.
Uh, when you're in a space that you're familiar with, it's comfortable because you're in a room that you know. You can see all the corners. You know how your boss behaves. You know where to get your drink and all. It's very comfortable. It's a comfort zone, right? And when getting into the unknown, into the darkness, right, is scary, right? There's a King Alexander, if I'm not wrong, was telling his soldiers, get into, if you want to find something that is valuable that they were trying to find in the forest, get into the forest at the place where is the point that is darkest to you. There is where you get something that is valuable. So, and it is scary. That is one, very scary. And our cultures, we've been taught to be in herds. In herds, we're kind of like humans, and we're in herds. We are comfortable where we are. We are set into spaces, and then a few people push and get outside those spaces, and it takes a lot of courage to do so. Like when you're born and you're born into a religion, right? And look at the number of people vis-a-vis the number of people who say stay in one religion, for example. People who move from one to another, the courage that it takes for them to do that, irrespective of which religion you're moving from, right? Because you're going to be cast by people where you're coming from. It is not an easy thing because you're going against the herd mentality, right? You're getting in a place that is unknown. So one, it is very scary. Two, we are not well equipped for it because we want to be able to identify with people. We want to be able to be accepted in one way or another. And the moment you're leaving, you're saying to people that I don't care what you're going to say. And people don't like it. People don't like that you're going, even if you're moving to a better place. There's what we call joy. If you have joy for someone else, development, you can support them if they're growing. But a lot of us are not in that space yet. It's like if joy, you're working with you, you're my colleague, we love working together, and then you're moving to another place. A lot of times your colleagues, people you love, will tell you not to stay here with us, stay here with us. So you're breaking out. It's like a child being born, they get out and cry, getting into the unknown. It's all the challenges because you don't know. And then the second thing is inside of us, we have what you call this, how do you call it? The drives, conflicting drives. Like you want something and then you don't want something else. So somebody would say is aligned, have these hierarchies of drives that are really aligned. So, and that you need to develop skills to practice to be able to be aligned. For example, you want to do something, but you still cannot do it. You still are thinking of something else. So it means your drives are not aligned. What you stand for is not aligned. You want to stand with one group, yet you also want to stand with another group that kind of like opposes. So within us, we have these different drives that sometimes are not aligned and makes us hesitate to take the leap. So if we can learn how to align the drives within us such that they are not conflicting, we can be able to take that leap. Aligning them is in the sense that you reach a point in your development where this thing that makes you want to leave is stronger than what makes you want to stay. So, for example, if you had friends, right, you just want to, you feel like the relationship that you have with them, maybe in a workspace, you love your friends and you don't want to leave them, right? So there's that drive in you to be in this friendship environment, right? But there's that other drive that you want to go into a new space, right? So not unless your drives are aligned such that they can push you out of this space to get into a new space, then you might not be able to leave. And then there's the third thing that affects us is the illusion of permanence. The illusion of permanence is in the sense that we think that the pleasure that we're achieving at one space should be permanent, right? And then we fail to realize that if we move forward, we are going to create a new space again and we're going to build these things again. So some people will, for example, you see when people get in relationships, someone says, I will never get out of this relationship. This is my life. And if you leave me, I will die. you know? So there's that illusion of permanence. And it happens. Some people take their lives when they experience breakups, right? So the illusion of, it's a thinking trap, like things are permanent. So if we can be able to practice and learn to realize that things are not permanent, right? We'll realize that even the spaces that we are not permanent. Okay, and that too can help us leap forward.
Even we are not permanent, right? It's what we were speaking about on how today this is what you desire, and a
Yes.
year from now it might be different because we are constantly growing, evolving, desiring something different, a different way of being, a different way of being in service. And I think that's where the fear comes in, because we were not taught this. We're actually taught to desire permanence. Get the
Mhm.
job and stay in the job and move ahead in the job. Or even within spaces like that do not necessarily have permanence as part of them. For example, the spiritual spaces. I've had conversations with some of the warriors that I work with, where there is a deep frustration with the fact that there is a constant learning, constant exploration within the spiritual path. And I've had people saying, isn't there an end result where I finally know everything and I'm finally just doing because I have all the information? And I often say, which is similar to what you said, like, we must know we are in the realm of the unknown, right? Like, we think we know life, but life is really unknown, and we are constantly actually learning new things about life, right? And if you accept this, you can release the tension, this illusion that you are in control, that you can control it, so that when the inspiration bubbles up, you can understand this is a deeper call of your spirit, and that you might as well follow through with it, despite every other thing that your mind tells you, oh my God, we are going to crash if we do this. So there is a lot of internal work we have to do, actually, to leap into a life of purpose, a life that is of our desires, because of everything that you just shared, of having to trust and having the courage to go to the darkest place, which is what now I'm interested in. And I want us to just share on, as people who have pursued a life of meaning and purpose, what are some of the darkest things that you had to confront, deal with, within yourself, as well as within your environment, to keep going, because I think what really scares a lot of us is we can have moments of quitting, and you are on month one, and there's a little bit of that honeymoon. Yes, I did it finally. And 6 months in, things haven't moved as you desire. And there's that entire panic attack, and you quit and you go back, right? And that's because there is a period, the very beginning period, where you actually have to go into the forest and explore and see all the dark things and all the monsters within you that are not necessarily real, that are like creating the what appears to you as, I'm not successful. Oh my God, this is not working out actually. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll comment on what you shared first regarding the people, individuals in your practice. The question whether or not they'll know everything, they'll get to a point where they know everything. I think that is not possible. Why I say this is because we have, you see, if you look at these religious books and religious teachings, there's some value in them, in the sense, if you look at, for example, Christianity, when people are told to be Christ-like, and they equate Christ to someone who is pure, right? Someone who is pure, and this is the same in almost all religion. There is that purity that we pursue. Okay, so as a person, if I picture myself, I can be able to visualize my full potential. I can be able to visualize my full potential. And that is what I'm pursuing. That is a purity I'm pursuing. Okay? So, and it's a moving target. It's a moving target. So you will never get to it. So you're pursuing purity that you will never get to. Okay? There's that perfect you. So today you want to help 500 people, right? You visualize that I would have achieved if I ensure that 500 people have food on their table. Then you start working towards that, right? After 1 month, you've fed 800 people, and then you want to feed 10,000 more. So the pursuit of purity is our life journey. The pursuit of what we visualize within ourselves to be our perfect being, right, is our life journey. So it's a journey that never ends until you die, or until you start pursuing it. That is the second option. So it's similar to getting into the darkest points in your life, right? So for me, I look at it this way. You explore a room, you explore a town, okay? You explore a town and you know all the corners of this town, right? The moment you know all the corners of this town, you move to the next town, right? Because you know everywhere here. Then it's like you move to the next challenge, and the next one, and the next one, right? And that is your life journey, always getting into the unknown, unknown, unknown. And look at the community that we are in. People that are unusually very successful are people who did not pursue the usual kind of like template of life, right? Go to school. Of course, there are people who have succeeded in school and made all this, they feel fulfilled. But people who pursue talents, for example, people who pursue art, for example, people who look at within themselves and want to discover something that is different, right, are people who somehow really succeed meaningfully. This is what I mean, meaningfully succeed. And by pursuing this is not that they're pursuing something that the community has defined as meaningful, but they themselves has defined as meaningful. So I'll give you like a life experience. Last year, January, I started pursuing setting up an NGO, Mindful African Initiative. And it was tough. First, the registration. a lot of organizations are set with already confirmed funding, and this is just myself setting up an NGO, not knowing where I'm going to go with it, and I don't know anything about it. And here family comes, you go get a job. I say no. uh, 3 months down the line, still the government has not registered the NGO. Family comes back again, go get a job. I say no. It got to a point where I had to tell my mother that if we're going to have a conversation again, please let it not be around team is going to should get a job. And every other time she would forget that and come back and tell me, oh, there's this job that is available, and this person wants to connect you with this person who knows this person, and you can earn a living, make some income. And I said no. I insisted, I stuck with that, because for me, I think that that is familiar. The option of when I started building the NGO, I knew it was not going to be easy, and I don't want the easy way. So I decided that it will not stop at nothing but success for this NGO. And that is the space that I have been until now. And it is starting to pick up. It's at its initial stages, because this year we were given the certificate in January, and then COVID-19 again. And then in the middle of COVID-19, there's no operations, there's nothing. And then all these pressures, go get a job, go do something that can get you more income, forget about that, is not working. And I just stopped at that. Everyone I would tell, no, that is not an option for me. It does not exist. Getting a job does not exist. So if it does not exist, I have to work with what exists, which mentally I I kind of like equated it to doing nothing but ensuring that what I'm creating, what I am building is going to work. Actually, I didn't even have finances. So things like the website, I had to go and do it myself, right? So it means the human potential and human capability is so immense. There's a lot of things that we think we cannot do, and we equate them to be so complex, right? And then when we're pushed to the corners, we are not left with an option but to do them. And then is where we discover that we have the potential. So it's kind of like I'm presented with an unknown, right? And I don't go back to the comfort zone. I don't run back because it's dark and it's scary. I don't know which animals are there, right? But I walk the unknown, and then the unknown becomes familiar, right? And then there's a new unknown, right? Now there are more challenges, and more challenges. So not unless we are willing to step into the darkness and make that immediate darkness familiar, right? Not grow, right? Growth is like taking a journey. If you cannot go into the rough places and explore the rough places, you will not be presented with a new challenge. So you have to take responsibility, get into the immediate unknown, and then you be familiar with it, take another step forward into another unknown, right? And be familiar with it. But then if you keep turning back and you want to go to a comfort zone, then that is what's affecting a lot of people who want to be in comfort zones.
Yeah. Ooh, that hit me. That really, I really deeply resonate with that. And what I'm getting from what you're saying is just decide. Decide your path. Decide what meaning is, what a meaningful life is, what a purposeful life is to you, and then stick with that. And that is the most difficult thing to do, to decide and to continue to keep believing, even if it's not working as you wanted. There are so many challenges along with that. This is what is not cultivated within us, because uh yeah, we quit far too soon. And what I've also found to be true is actually if you keep going, you decide and you keep going despite the challenges that come up, you will have your breakthrough. It's literally impossible for the breakthrough to not happen if you have decided and if you stick with it, and if you also do not insist that the result has to look a certain way at this particular point, because our issue is being addicted to the external outlook of what we're creating and wanting it to appear very quickly, or at least in the timeline that we think is sufficient. So if you've been doing this for 1 year and things are not panning out, you say, oh, this is clearly a horrible mistake I made. I need to just go back and begin because I was not cut out for this. And we do not, like in the spiritual community, we like saying there is something called ancestral timing or divine timing, right? Which you have to believe in. Like there is a timing that goes beyond your time as a human on when the thing is going to finally work, right? So if you trust this timing, that if I am completely 100% in and all the forces that be see that team is 100% in, joy is 100% in, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, will do all to ensure that you are supported. And me and you, we spoke about the support that we have found in pursuing our path, that is the path of the unknown, through people coming to support and just things eventually working out when you keep going.
And Joy, I want to add something. When we start these journeys, we don't know. You we
No.
don't know. So you see, if we want to project the result, it seems we want to project our positions at the end of the journey, but it's different. So every day when you move from one point to another, your ignorance is also being eliminated because you're being aware, you're being more aware, you're learning as you move, right? So your target keeps on moving from side to side, given new information that you gather. So what I'm trying to say is you cannot be sure of the results when you're starting because you don't know. You've not started anything. So how can you know the results? Right? You don't know.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. It's a very difficult team because we spoke about this. Results are very important to our society. All of us, we grow up being told you must have your your degree. That's the result. You must have a house by the time you're 30 years old. You must be married. You must have 2 cars, and you must have enough money to take your kids to private school. And so we come with this idea of the external, of the results of how it's supposed to be. And there is this thing that is very crippling for people who choose to go into a meaningful and purposeful life, where we will sometimes even do things that we are not actually. So I'll give an example. This happens all the time, where as a spiritual healer coach, I decide that I want to have a coaching practice, and this is a path of the unknown. It's a path of meaning and purpose. And because I care about what people think, I decide to go get a space, an office space, where I have to pay $1,000 every month, which I do not have because I'm at the beginning of a business. Or even if I do have that money, that's not the best way to spend that money because we don't know what's going to happen. But then we do this thing of hiring the space or getting a car and doing this not necessarily because we need to, but for people so that we can prove to people like this path is real and it's actually important and I'm going to succeed. So we get ourselves on debt. We do these things that we're not prepared for because we feel like
Mhm.
it's supposed to look a certain way. And that
Mhm.
if for 1 or 2 years of your business or your service in the world, you don't have tangible proof to
Mhm.
show to people, then you are not successful. So there's also this very crippling way that we think, where we project the importance of results, the importance of the external, which actually
Ah.
interferes with us progressing because we are focusing on getting things that actually do not add value when you're building a life of meaning and purpose.
Uh-huh. Okay. That's let me comment on that. It's something that this generation are really missing out on because
Mm,
a lot of people are focusing on pleasure and happiness and not meaning or purpose. So pleasure and all those things, happiness, are byproducts. Okay. When we gave the example earlier in this conversation, you you support a child on the street, and when you get home, you have that sense of happiness, that fulfillment, and that is as a result of doing something that is meaningful. You know, people want to. A lot of people want to experience happiness, want to pursue happiness and pleasure, and that is not possible, and they're stuck in the middle. If you look at for example, the famous, say, Muhammad Ali, right? He was being a boxer. He's being a good boxer, right? Uh, a good boxer and speaking about stuff. And what happened? What followed him, right? Is is paid. He has this audience, and all these things just work out. If you look at uh, athletes, right? Athletes, the work they put is that's meaningful to them. When most athletes who succeed are passionate about athletics, most musicians who make good music, they're passionate about the music. They wake up and do the music, do the music, and do the music because when they create something, when they play well or they create good music, they feel happy. They're fulfilled themselves. This was good, right?
mm,
When someone plays well,
mm,
they're, they feel good about it. And it's like it's like it's like, but if you're pursuing something that you love and then you will not stick to it, people will support you. The world, the universe will conspire and you'll be supported. But then if you get into football because you saw Drogba being paid millions, right? It means the player
mm,
is what attracts you to that, you know? And then when you get into that space and you realize you need to work hard, you give up, right? So a lot of people say you look at someone who is very famous, or you look at someone who is a very successful musician, for example, you know, and you're attracted to the popularity, right? And the way, the lifestyle, okay? But what you don't realize is the work that they put into it.
mm,
And then you end up pursuing something that someone created that was meaningful to someone else but not meaningful to you. So the moment we realize
mm,
we are supposed to see ourselves and search ourselves and figure out what really makes me tick, what really makes me feel good. And if we pursue these things, then is when we realize like profound growth. And it's not really tied to happiness and all this, because you're going to do something that is you're not happy doing. It doesn't, it's not pleasure, you know. Like if you look at somebody who loves maybe cleaning the streets, right? Or someone who loves doing something that it's work, it's difficult, you know. You wake up in the morning and you do something, you practice and practice and practice, and it's not easy. So doing something meaningful is not being in a happy space, or it's not pleasure, right? But it is fulfilling. And the results of it is what is happiness. And it's it's pleasure. Once you feel there's that excitement when you're writing a code, if you're a programmer, and for hours it's not working, and then after 14 hours you execute it and it runs, and it execute the task that you're giving, and the feeling you feel after that is what other people pursue, and not actually the work. And when they realize that it is hard, they want to jump from one to another, and we leading lives of jumping from one space to another to another to another. Say, for example, I listen to my mom and I pursue another space, and I get a job, and after 3 months I realize I'm bored, I don't like it. What next? You see?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, that is one of the issues of our society. So it's not really pursuing the inner desire, but pursuing the desires of the world that we think, that is what's going to make me feel like I am in a life of
Mhm,
purpose because I
mhm.
saw this person doing it, so I can also do it. And it's definitely devastating, but at the same time, team, it's because people don't know how to discover what is their calling, what is the thing that brings them that highest excitement, what is the thing that they are willing to work 14 hours every day until it manifests in the world. Like most of us, we don't know what that thing is because this was never cultivated. So I'm thinking you will guide us on like a journey of discovering what is my own inner calling, what is my the thing that is exciting for me, what is the thing that I am willing to pursue, because when I do pursue it, that will be meaningful to me. That will be me in my purposeful life, right? Um, I've had many people saying to me that they've actually went to Google and searched, how do I find my purpose? It's a real issue that people have. How do I find my purpose? So we have some questions here. I feel like let's address them and then we can jump into the journey you're going to take us, right? And if you have any questions, please
In-
feel free to share them now and we will answer and then jump into. Team has decided he's going to help us a little bit, like with a 10 minutes journey of what is your purpose, right? So, team,
yeah,
we have a question, two questions here
okay.
on Zoom from Pinky. Hello, Pinky. So the first question is, how do we become acquainted with the essence of who we are as individuals in the world that encourages competition and groupthink?
Yeah, that is challenging. It is challenging, and it requires effort, right? Because the moment you're born into group thinking, into hard, you like hard creatures, right? You're in this group, and it's like you're driven by forces, right, that are not you, forces that are in existence already. Okay, like you're born,
Mm,
find doctors, you want to be a doctor. You're born, you find engineers, you want to be an engineer. So like there's already existing forces that robs you of yourself. Okay, so what happens is,
mm,
uh in the journey of growth, is just like a baby, or when you grow, then you stop depending on your parents, right? And then you start being independent. That means you're a grown up, okay? And this happened also with guidance. And we forget this. When we're born, we are primarily guided by our parents. We fit in the shoes, everything that they guide us, they ask us to do. And then what a lot of people fail to do is to come to age in terms of decision making and a lot of things that we want to encounter, in the sense that you maybe a pastor reads the scriptures for you and interprets for you. Someone else goes and tells you how to work out. Someone tells you how to maybe manage your family. Someone tells you which spiritual path to take, and you follow it. And there's all these forces around us. And then we end up not growing up. Okay, growing up is in the sense that all these things are present, but where do I stand? Who am I? Right? In this case. Okay, so if you get to a point where you're going to ask yourself and really ask yourself, what is my take as far as all these forces that are in existence are concerned, right? And then discover a path for you and follow it. That path might change because you keep on changing. That path might change, but it should change on your terms, right? I don't find myself in a place where I'm doing something because my mother said so. I'm voting for so and so because my community said so, right? Even though there's this external influence, but you should get to a point where you say, I'm doing this because I think it is what is right for me to do.
Yeah. Yes, I definitely love that. Uh, there is there is definitely the importance of having guidance is there is value in that. This is why we do have mentors and healers and teachers and so on. But more than anything, what you just said is the most important thing is you are your own inner compass. Like there's no one who can actually decide for you. You can just be given options, but you have to decide, you know?
Yeah.
So I love that. Thank you, team. And uh,
There's a,
Facebook, if
this,
you have a question, you may ask.
there's a there's a
I'm going.
question by Pinky. Pinky is
Yes,
asking,
I'm gonna ask now.
living, okay, cool.
Yes, yes. So Pinky is asking again. Does living a purposeful life mean that you have to live a life of serving others? What is the balance between fulfilling one's needs and desires versus fulfilling the needs of others? Isn't it unhealthy to constantly live a life of sacrifice? I love this question. Yes.
Actually, living a meaningful, purposeful life has nothing to do with others. It has everything to do with you, and you decide what you do with your life. So what I mean by this is, it's a life that you choose that makes you feel happy. There's this guy in Botswana who I saw this on documentary. He takes water to wild animals in the park with big trucks and give them water, right? When there's drought. So he drives this truck and give them water, And he had been doing this for a long time until he was recognized for doing that. So the idea was that made him feel good. So it's not what you're doing to really serve, like it's good to serve others. Like there's that idea of responsibility, taking responsibility. Like if we want to experience free will, right? But we also want to be responsible. Okay. So if you're doing something and then you're serving others, but you're not serving yourself, right? Then there's something wrong, because you have to nourish yourself to be in a position to serve others. So self-service comes first because you're an individual at first. It's pretty much like identity. What right now, what is affecting a lot of people is we are identifying more with the group than with ourselves. So for me, individual identity is more important first than group. Within groups, there are individuals first. You cannot have a group without individuals. That's why if you look at maybe systems which are a group in nature, but that don't address individual needs, right? They're toppled. There's resistance. So you as an individual, you're the first person. So if you're going to support others, right, you have to support yourself to be able to support others. And by supporting others does not mean you forget about yourself, right? And doing something that is meaningful has nothing, is kind of like autonomous. It's not directly related to others. It is about you and what makes you feel fulfilled. And at the end of the day, when you get home, are you feeling like you did something that you're proud of and that you're happy about? But if you still have these doubts that, I felt bad, it's too much for me, I just did it anyway, it means you're not doing something that is really building you or it's meaningful to you. Because if you're doing something that is meaningful, you have to feel it. It has to come from your heart, and you will feel good when you're doing it, right? It might not be easy, it might be difficult, but you'll eventually feel good when you're doing it.
Yeah, there is another aspect of it. Just the word service, there are two meanings to it. So another perspective that's coming up is the reason why we say a purposeful life is connected to service to others. It is because we are connected to each other. And for most of us, when we do sit down and we say, what is my true desire? There is the desire, I really would like to take care of animals. The animals are others, right? I would really like to help, people learn how to bake. Those
Yes.
people are the others, right? I
Yes.
that's what we mean when we say this to others. When there is an inner calling within you that wants to do things for the community, for other people other than yourself, right?
Yes.
That's the service to others. And it's not about self-sacrifice, because people confuse that. It's about how, for many people, actually, if we just go to work and we make the money that we make, and we buy the cars that we were told to buy, and we buy the houses we were told to get, for most of us there will always be this internal hunger for more,
Yes.
because we are driven as human beings to to give to others as well, right? And so one
Yes.
of the issues we have in Africa is that we have leaders who are savers to self, where they're only focusing on themselves. They're not thinking about other people, how their policies are affecting other people, right? So now this service to self as an ideology, it's about when you make decisions without considering how other people will be affected by them, right? And you do it because that's what I want to do, and it's my money. I'm the one in leadership, so I have to do whatever I want. So that is when people who do that, they will feel something is off. They will not feel like they are in a life of purpose, because purpose in many ways it does extend to others. It comes from you, yes, where you are saying, this is how I really want to be, right? And yes, buying shoes, nice shoes, going out, traveling, this can be a service to your spirit, even a service for us in our spirituality, could be a service to your ancestors, because if you decide to be successful and abundant, you are literally breaking generational traumas and curses, and that is a service to your future generations, where other people will know it's okay to pursue what you love, right? So it's a like there are many elements to it, but
Some
the service to others is not that you're working for people and you're just giving your money away, you're giving your energy away, like that's what people think, but that's not, that is harmful and that's unhealthy and that is not nourishing. It will not be nourishing to you. It will not create that fulfillment if you give to the point of exhaustion. Yeah.
Actually, what the point at which people start feeling this is when they themselves start not being nourished. If
Mm,
people give, and then they come home, they have food to eat, and they are also comfortable. A lot of times, they will not get to the point where they feel as if they're giving too much. But people always feel that they're giving too much. Most people, when they're lacking themselves, right? When they're giving and they're
mm,
lacking, right? And you notice that our systems don't support people who give. In the in the past, we would find African communities back then. You would find someone who is a not a farmer, who is a healer, who is mixing herbs to heal people. The community would take care. The community
mm,
would ensure that they don't miss, that they're healthy. They would be
mm,
soldiers. So people who go to take care of animals, they come back home, they find food, and everyone is taking care of everyone. But we live in a society where you have the skill and the ability to go and support people, right? And you yourself, no one, you're not supported. Maybe financially, you don't have the means, right? So what I can advise people to do is that go and support, right? But go and support within your ability, right?
mm,
For example,
mm,
you there are homeless people, or there are people who your friends don't have, right? They don't have a place to go, and you bring them to your house, and then bring a lot of them to a point where you don't have a place to be, and all this, and then you start feeling bad about it, right? It
mm,
means you didn't take care of yourself, right? So it's very important to have a balance. Nourish yourself so that you're able to nourish others. Because if you don't
mm,
nourish yourself fast, because you're an individual fast, right, you are not able to uh, support others properly. So it's very important for everyone to fast, because you can't be strong enough to support others if you're not nourished. So just
mm.
balance is very important.
Yes. This one goes to the healers. I know we are the self-sacrificing type. So we're like a give to the point of exhaustion. Healers and women, it's important to nourish ourselves and to take care of ourselves so we can actually truly be of service, to
Others.
others. Because if you're doing it with a resentful heart, is it really going to create the kind of impact you want? It's unlikely, because people are going to be like, hey, that woman, she's always so angry when she's giving us food. You know what I mean? And you will not enjoy that. Yeah. Okay, Tim, this is such a good conversation. And who is wanting to kind of like deepen and understand maybe how they are being called to be to the path of a meaningful and purposeful life, because Tim is has agreed to kind of take us on that journey. Are you good, Tim, to take us now?
Okay, cool. We're just going to do a
Okay.
like a meditation practice, right? A brief
Mm,
meditation practice, a
yes.
maximum of 10 minutes. So
Okay.
you can have a comfortable position, just stretch yourself. You can extend your hand just to release the tension on your body. While you're doing that, keep breathing in and out. And when you get the most comfortable position for yourself, you can close your eyes and keep breathing. As you breathe in and breathe out, let your body relax naturally. bring to mind something that you've always desired to do. Something that deep within you, you know very well that it's exactly what you want to pursue. Visualize this as vivid as possible, as clear as possible. Ask yourself, what are the best things that you yourself will experience if you achieve that target? Bring to mind the possibilities of how your life will transform and that of others around you. You can also visualize what could go wrong. Picture the path that you want to take as a path into darkness, into the unknown, into a space that is scary, but a space that has all the valuables, all the jewelry, all the gold that you desire. As you visualize this, remember most people regret things they did not do than things they did and failed. Even if you visualize failure, it's okay. You realize that there's one thing that you should not do. It presents you with what's left would be just another other options that will lead you to your goal. You too, like others, can do it. You also have the potential and the capabilities. can take a few more deep breaths as you come to an end and reconnect to your physical senses. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Amazing.
Amazing. Oh, thank you, Tim.
Thank
Wow. That was that was illuminative. So good. Yes, like Coco has a saying, so good. This was so good. I absolutely love that you also took us on the path of the darkness, because it's always good to see what's holding us back. For me, it was to see what is holding me from my next challenge, desire, target. Yeah, because sometimes you just have the desire and you are just stuck, but you don't know it's because there are some fears you're holding about
Yeah.
what are the shadows that are going to come once you pursue this goal in the middle of the forest. I love that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
when you fail, you just know something that you are not supposed to do. Failure is like a combination of
Mm,
moves. So it's like it only builds towards accuracy. You get what I mean. Failure
mm,
towards accuracy.
mm,
It's like presents you with variables that you ought not to have put into your formula.
mm. It's
Exactly.
not a definition of who you are, you know. It's just part of the path, just information to help you arrive at the target. I love that. Yeah, the shadow realization was so powerful. So many people are sharing this. Team Sandy is saying that was powerful for her. Pinky is just saying this was a life-changing conversation. Bogotas, I love the exploration of purpose. It's such an important conversation. This has been really wonderful, team. Like, thank you so much for saying yes and coming here to guide us, to remind us of what's possible. I feel like for me, this was just giving me the courage to know, yes, it will be hard, but keep going, keep deciding, keep
Yeah.
choosing. And yeah, oh, thank you
Thank you,
so
Joy.
much.
I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. And for people who want to, support you with the work that you're doing, I actually want you to tell people the aim of mindful Africa initiative, because I absolutely love it. So for those who might resonate and want to work and support you, they can know how to connect with you and any other services that you have. Yes.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to maybe inquire, can send to a message or an email to info at Mindful African Initiative. And also in our website, there's a connect where somebody can just send a message and share. And also through you or through your platform or through your Facebook pages, you can always connect to us and strike a conversation. So conversations are welcome, and we just want, at the end of the day, for people to, in as much as people operate in this group setting, our aim is that people discover themselves and their identities, individual identities, and uh, be fulfilled within groups. Do I make sense?
Mm,
Be fulfilled within groups.
yeah. Mm,
And
I
if a
love
group,
that.
if you're in a space where the group identity surpasses your individual identity, then you're not thriving.
Hmm. Yeah. Community groups are also very important in the path of purpose
Yes.
and meaning. And yes, so your initiative is who is it for exactly? Can you share with us what the initiative really does and who is it for and how if you are someone in South Africa,
Yeah.
how can they
So
work or be part of it? Yeah.
so we are the initiative is for everyone in Africa. Uh, everyone who can develop, who wants to develop a life of purpose, and also improve their mental well-being, because this also affects mental health. If you're not in a space that you love, you're not going to thrive mentally, right? So it's for
Mm,
everyone. And we have programs like, we in partnership with Life University, we are running currently a compassionate integrity training, and we are going to run more of this. And it's a series of training that kind of like starts from self cultivation to relating to others and engaging in systems. So we
mm,
have skills to help people develop themselves, have self
mm,
compassion for themselves first. And then after
mm,
this, we explore relating with others with compassion, and then engaging into complex systems, you know. So
mm,
beginning is you as an individual. How do you cultivate yourself to have compassion for yourself? Then is when you explore how to relate with others. So it's a very
mm,
interesting course, and anyone is welcome to ask questions about it and follow up and figure out how they can take the training.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love this initiative that you are doing. I also know that you're working, you are having the desire to also work with people in grassroots to help people who are in, like, not necessarily in urban spaces, which is like where you're going with this initiative. Which I feel like it's so important and so profound because we definitely need to be compassionate to ourselves, to not put so much pressure on ourselves, especially when we're in this path of pursuing meaning and purpose. You know,
Yeah.
compassion is absolutely vital. So amazing work you're doing, team. And for anyone who wants to learn more, when you go to our speakers in the Warriors of Light show website, in my website, but under this show, you'll be able to see Tim and see a link to his website, which you can click and you'll be able to connect with him. Or you can just send me a message to say, hey, how can I connect with Tim? And I'll do that. Right. So thank you so much, Tim, for this
Thank you, Julie.
conversation, this nourishing conversation. And thank you also, everyone, for joining us, for having this conversation with us, commenting and participating. We really appreciate you giving us your evening to do this work of meaning and purpose. Yes. Okay. So
Thank you.
goodbye, good night.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.